Hi guys, Matt V's Movies back for another video, and today I'm going to be looking at my small collection of shark films. See, in the UK, the Meg 2 The Trench will be released this Friday, and yeah, I thought, why not, on the sort of, kind of release of this, why not have a look at some shark films, give you a little bit of film facts and trivia about each film in my collection, and yeah, we'll just take a closer look at what I've got on the channel today.
15 seconds, guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9, ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a lift.
Okay, so for this part of the video, we're coming down onto the little table and we're going to look at some film editions in my shark collection, give you a bit of film facts, a little bit of trivia on each film, and yeah, so let's dive into it. Okay, so probably the most famous shark film is Jaws. Came out in 1975 and it ran for 2 hours and 4 minutes. In the UK, it was a certificate 12. A police chief, a marine scientist and a fisherman spring into action after a white shark terrorises the inhabitants of Amity, a quiet island. The release date in the UK was the 26th of December 1975, and this was directed by Steven Spielberg. Music was composed by John Williams. The budget was between 7 and 9 million US dollars. Now on to a couple of bits of trivia. Several decades after the film's release, Lee Ferrero, who played Mrs. Kinter, walked into a seafood restaurant and noticed that the menu had an Alex Kinter sandwich. She commented that she had played his mother so many years ago. The owner of the restaurant ran out to meet her, and he was none other than Jeffrey Voorhees, who played her son. They had not seen each other since the original movie shoot. And finally, when composer John Williams originally played the score for director Steven Spielberg, Spielberg laughed and said, "That's funny, John, really, but what did you really have in mind for the theme of Jaws?" Spielberg later stated that without Williams' score, the movie would have only been half as successful, and according to Williams, it jump-started his career. Okay, so on to the edition. So, as with many of us collectors, we'll have picked up this 4K collector's edition with a really nice lenticular, obviously with Jaws sort of within the teeth. 4K Ultra, nice sort of back art there. Inside you've got the booklet. I'm not going to go into sort of too much detail on this, but we've got the 4K Ultra 40th anniversary edition. There's all your tech specs. Open it up, we've got some art cards in there. There's the 4K disc, and there's a Blu-ray as well, and the J card. Now this is a wonderful transfer, one of the best 4K sort of upgrades that I've seen, to be honest. I think this looks absolutely fantastic, what they've done with sort of bringing it up to 4K standard. Wonderful edition of Jaws. Okay, so up next are the Jaws sequels. So I do have Jaws 2, Jaws 3 and the Jaws the Revenge. So we'll just do a little bit of facts on each film and one piece of trivia, and then we'll just have a quick look at this edition. So Jaws 2 came out in 1978, and in the UK it was a certificate PG. It ran for 1 hour and 56 minutes. Post the shark attacks that horrified the residents of Amity, trouble returns to the town when a man-eating shark begins to lurk on the beaches of Amity. The release date in the UK was the 26th December 1978, and this time it was directed by Zhenot Zwask, and apologies if I butchered that name. The box office was $208 million US. So on to one piece of trivia about Jaws 2. Mark Gilpin, Sean Brody, claims that when they were shooting one of the scenes on the makeshift raft of the wrecked yachts, they were being circled by a real hammerhead shark. The actors were scared and began to scream and holler at the production crew, which was filming that particular scene from a distance. The crew were oblivious to the danger and assumed that the actors were simply in character and gave them the thumbs up. Jaws 3, or Jaws 3D, came out in 1983, and again in the UK it was a PG certificate. It ran for 1 hour and 39 minutes. A group of marine biologists attempt to capture a young great white shark. Later, chaos follows when its ferocious mother breaks into the marine centre in order to avenge the death of its baby. The initial release was the 22nd of July 1983, and this was directed by Joe Avels. The box office was $88 million US. On to one piece of trivia about Jaws 3. The filmmakers initially planned to have a very few pop-out effects where objects extend beyond the screen in 3D. Studio executives ultimately pressured them to include more, worried that the audience would leave disappointed and spread bad word of mouth if the 3D was used mainly for depth. Jaws the Revenge came out in 1987, and in the UK it was certificate 12. It ran for 1 hour and 32 minutes. The island community of Amity is terrorised by shark attacks when a vengeful shark returns to avenge the death of her progeny. The release date in the US was the 17th of July 1987, and this was directed by Joseph Sargent. The budget was between 20 and 23 million US dollars. One piece of Jaws the Revenge trivia. The water in the tank where the climax was shot was filled with blue dye, which turned Michael Caine's and Lorraine Gary's hair blue. And so on to my edition. Now this is a 3-disc set, all on Blu-ray, so we've got Jaws 2, Jaws 3 with the 3D version and Jaws the Revenge. And here's your tech specs. Now, strangely enough, Jaws 3 is actually a 12 here. In that trivia, it said it was a PG. So, I don't know, maybe it was, sort of recertified. So, there's your tech specs. Open it up. So, you've got the Jaws 2, Jaws 3 and 3D, and then Jaws the Revenge. Certainly Jaws 2 is a good sequel, and not as good as the first film. Jaws 3 is not that great a film, but it's actually quite good in 3D. There's a lot of pop-out moments in it. I was quite impressed. The original Jaws 3D was the blue and red glasses that you would wear, but this one is actually the sort of more modern 3D, so it's a better transfer. yeah, it makes the film a little bit more entertaining, you know, with some sort of gimmicky pop-out bits. Jaws: The Revenge is not as great as obviously the first and second film by any stretch of the imagination. It's nice to have Michael Caine in there, but it's not as bad as I once remembered. So that's the Jaws sequel collection. So on to the next film in my shark collection, The Shallows. The Shallows came out in 2016, and in the UK it was certificate 15, and this ran for 1 hour and 27 minutes. Nancy travels to a secluded beach following the death of her mother. While surfing, she gets attacked by a great white shark, which leaves her stranded on a rock 200 yards from the shore. The release date in the UK was the 12th of August 2016, and this was directed by Jean-Colette Serrier. The box office was $119.1 million US. And now on to a couple of bits of trivia about The Shallows. Steven Seagal's name in real life is Sully. He lives to this day in a seagull sanctuary in Australia. 2 extra seagulls were used to portray Steven Seagal. According to producer Matty Lisham, she added, "They were all good but not nearly as good as him. Peggy was the vocal one, the very squawky bird. Gaviota, which means seagull in Spanish, I think he is almost 30, as Steven is estimated to be about 15 or 20 years old in the film. The most challenging thing about Sully as an actor is that seagulls are remarkably clean. They self-clean a lot, so the blood on Sully, obviously flake blood, he kept wanting to clean it off, so we had to deal with that." And finally, Blake Lively only had a stunt double for the surfing scenes as she couldn't surf professionally. "All I did was paddle," she's recalled. Her surfing stunt double was professional Australian surfer 19-year-old Isabel Nichols. She taught Blake how to paddle correctly, how to wax a board and put a leg rope on and fins to make it look authentic. Okay, so on to the 2 editions that I had for this film. So I've got the UK Steelbook and I've got the Blu-ray for the US edition with this really nice lenticular. So we'll look at the Steelbook second, and let's have a quick look at this one first. So as you can see, this is really nice effect with the blood in the water, and you can see the shark down the bottom. Blake Lively's character at the top there, and some quotes. There's the back. This is actually a sealed copy. I've not actually opened it, but yeah, I just really like this lenticular on this version. So on to the UK Blu-ray Steelbook. This comes with a nice quarter slip here with the shark. So that's really a little bit different, which I quite like. So you've got the image on the front there. On the back, you've got your tech specs. It's a Sony release. So there we go. There's the back with the shark and Sully the seagull. Open it up. Now, I've actually popped the 4K Ultra disc in here. I did actually pick up the 4K with the Blu-ray. I did think I had that somewhere else, but yeah, I'll just put that disc in. Take the disc out, and you've got the artwork inside, sort of looking up. There she is on a surfboard. Obviously, this is probably the shark sort of looking at her. Now on to picture quality. Well, again, I'll tell you about the 4K. Absolutely fantastic looking release, this one. Highly recommend The Shallows on 4K. It looks really crisp and clear. Good audio on this one as well. Highly recommend The Shallows. Well, even on Blu-ray it looks really good as well. So yeah, that's just a little summary of The Shallows. Okay, so on to my final shark film, and this is sort of what inspired me to do this video with the release of the Meg 2 The Trench. Here we've got the Meg 3D edition. So we're going to do a little bit of film facts and a little bit of trivia, and then we'll just have a little chat about this edition. So the Meg came out in 2018 and it ran for 1 hour and 53 minutes. In the UK it was a certificate 12. When an underwater research team is attacked by a prehistoric shark, assumed to be extinct, a rescue diver is hired to save them. Soon they must stop the shark before it reaches more populated areas. The release date in the UK was the 10th of August 2018, and this was directed by John Turteltaub. Apologies if I butchered that name. And the box office was $530.2 million US. Now on to a couple of bits of trivia about the Meg. In real life, Jason Statham is an expert swimmer. In the 1990 Commonwealth Games, he represented England in diving. Footage of him competing can be found online. Most of the shots of him in the water are real. The stunt double was used for more hazardous shots. And finally, in the book, the megalodons are pure white, almost luminescent. From living in an environment with virtually no light, the colouring proved too difficult to render in CGI while still looking realistic. So the megalodons were given the same colouring as the great white sharks, grey backs and pale bellies, even though this colorisation would only make sense in an environment with light. Okay, so on to the edition that I have. So I decided to pick this one in 3D. Now, I haven't actually watched it in 3D yet. I do plan on watching this, and maybe I'll give you a review sort of my thoughts of the 3D. So as you can see, this contains the 3D disc, the Blu-ray, and it would have had a digital download. Quite a nice image on the front there. There's the spine. There's the back with your tech specs. Open it up. Same image again. The back's exactly the same. Open it up. There is a digital code there, has expired, but you're welcome to give it a go if you wish. Yeah. Okay, so with this one we get 2 discs. So you've got the Blu-ray there, just a standard blue colour. And then with the 3D disc, quite a nice design, sort of representing the teeth. You've got the 3D version only. So look out for my review. I'll tell you a bit more about the film, what my thoughts on it are, and I'll sort of talk a bit about the 3D as well. So stay tuned for that video. So guys, that was just a look at my small shark collection of films. Obviously the best film out of the bunch is Jaws. You know, pretty much it's always going to be the top tier. Can't ever see it being sort of you know, pipped off the first place, certainly for me anyway. But yeah, just I'll be interested to hear your thoughts down below as to sort of, you know, do you have a sort of shark film collection? Which is your favourite film? Are you going to see the Meg 2 The Trench? It's coming out of the cinema. Yeah, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts down below. Please give the video a thumbs up. That really does help out the channel. It tells YouTube that you like these sorts of videos, and that encourages me to create more content for you to enjoy. If you're new here, why not consider subscribing to the channel? I've got a wealth of playlists, different types of films. So yeah, go and check out sort of more of my channel. And yeah, please consider subscribing. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm over there and I post pictures from time to time. So yeah, why not go and find me over there as well? So guys, that's the end of the video. Thanks for stopping by. Take care. See you in the next one. Bye now.